I mean, at the end of the day, these underage fans, like, they need to know about this stuff to keep away from it and to stay away from it because there's a potential danger here. So I do have two close members of Carson that were a part of the lunch club, Noah and Travis on the line.
It's important to note that everything in this video is my opinion, and I am in no way attempting to pass anything in relation to legalities as 100% fact. Despite all the evidence I will provide, it is important for you to form your own opinion, and not take everything I say at face value. Many allegations have been released against Carson, making numerous claims of illegal activity, but at the end of the day, that's all they are. Allegations. Carson has yet to respond, so it's crucial to receive his side of the story before passing off any serious claims. I hate disclaimers, but I feel this is important to say, and make very clear. Innocent, until proven guilty. CallMeCarson, popular YouTuber, Minecraft player, memer, is currently under very hot water at the moment. Serious allegations of pedophilia and possession of child pornography have been raised against him, causing many people on the internet and Twitter to play the role of lawyers and declaring him completely guilty or completely innocent. A girl by the name of Sam on Twitter made a claim that CallMeCarson had groomed her at age 17, when Carson was 19 years of age. As a result, Carson has been bleeding subscribers and followers all over social media. However, there is a lot more nuance to the story than just that. As of recording, I haven't seen a single good video on this platform addressing the situation, so that's what I'm here to do. I will be doing my best to address the entire Carson situation and allegations, all the way down to present day. But before we address Carson's current dilemma, let's take a look at the roots of how this all happened.
One day in March, he called me shortly before he told Travis. Everybody was up in LA and he told most of them face to face, but he called me and I picked up the phone and he was basically like, I have to tell you something. And then he told me that he sexted underage girls, and I think that he said that they were fans.
The initial allegations of Carson messaging underage fans were released on Drama Alert by Noah and Travis from the Lunch Club, Carson's former group that he was a part of. Now in this interview, Noah is the one to do most of the talking, and while explaining to Keemstar, he tells him that Carson has said he's been sexting underage fans, and that everyone in the Lunch Club was made aware of that. I noticed that when Noah was asked to explain initially, he didn't just say girl, but used the plural, girls, implying that this has been going on with multiple fans who happen to be underage.
He told me that he sexted underage girls, and I think that he said that they were fans.
However, the evidence he used to substantiate these claims were an anecdote that Carson had given him, and when Keemstar asked if he had proof, Noah said that no one involved would have any reason to lie. So already the allegations are off to a very rocky start. You would think that maybe he would provide a name, pictures, screenshots, or at the very least an age range. But no, they don't even know if this is still going on.
Does anyone know if Carson is still doing this with his fans?
No idea.
Nope, I just have no idea.
So Noah and Travis come on Drama Alert to make claims with nothing to back them up other than Carson told me. Both of them cite this as the reason for the Lunch Club breaking up. Initially, I wasn't ready to hop on the Carson is a child groomer bandwagon. Many people on Twitter, however, felt very differently, causing Carson to trend all over Twitter, with many people labeling him as a pedophile who attempted to groom his underage fans. For several hours, this was the only initial flame to the fire. But a full tank of gasoline would be added when the first victim of Carson came out against him. Grooming, pedophilia, Carson's situation. I can personally come out and say that I have been groomed by Carson. I have talked to many people and have never come out about this since now. At the time I was 17 and still in high school. This was the initial claim made by Sam, going by the Twitter handle of Miniborb. She continued with several follow-up tweets attempting to quantify the claim she made, and then proceeded to share a collage of screenshots between herself and Carson, where Carson says some very suggestive things to this fan. To boil it down, some of these screenshots range from Carson getting physically aroused whenever talking to her, asking when she turned 18, and asking for several photos of the fan nude. She would respond to several people on Twitter, with one case having her share the screenshot for the definition of grooming, and the laws regarding child pornography. She would continue to follow up by giving her condolences to anyone else who has experienced this firsthand. The shitstorm from all over Twitter would ensue, with many people referring to him and his actions as being of pedophilic nature. Many people would probe her to reveal further information to confirm if these Discord DMs were real, and she would put a Twitter video of her going in her Discord through her computer, and and clicking on the profile for Carson, further adding confirmation that these DMs were real. People would later show screenshots from Carson's Discord with him acknowledging the validity of these DMs, saying that he regrets the actions he made with that girl. This other video would be linked, adding further evidence to prove this being real.
I'm not into kids, but I did trade nudes with people under the age of 18, which is very bad. I was 19. That's all you need right there. That's Carson's profile. There you go. There's all the stuff for that. And then, if you go down to the very bottom, grooming, pedophilia, Carson situation, this tweet, he says, "This shit is absolutely disgusting. I figure you guys will be seeing this sooner or later, but yeah, absolutely gross messages confirming that this is true."
Now in these screenshots, Carson admits to sending and receiving news from underage girls. This factor could put him under some trouble, as if this is the case, which he seems to admit, he would be under possession of child pornography. It seems that based on the evidence we have, that Carson was 19 and the alleged victim was 17. A 2-year difference. Now, while this person was a minor at the time, relationships like these are not uncommon. This is the equivalent of a senior dating a sophomore, and if it is slightly less than 2 years, it would be probably more equivalent to a senior dating a junior. Now this isn't to suggest that this still isn't strange. Normally in the current high school landscape, 2-year age gaps are frowned upon, but no one actually sees you as a pedophile. However, with this being the case, many people put into question the potential other victims that may have been involved with sending nudes, as they could be potentially lower than 17. And if that's the case, then we have a serious problem. Another alleged victim has come out to reveal her experience with Carson, going under the Twitter handle of Copycat. She provides a screenshot of the alleged final DMs between herself and Carson, in which Carson would basically break it off with her, not wanting to continue any more sexual conversations with her. She claims to have been 17 at the time while Carson was 20 years old. I find it strange that she says there was more evidence available on her Instagram. However, she says the account is no longer available due to it being deleted. She doesn't give any reasons as to why, making it seem kind of convenient for her not being able to provide more evidence beyond one screenshot. I would have hoped she would have screen recorded the DM conversation similar to the first victim, or maybe click on the profile to add more validity to the claim she was making. But unfortunately, that was not the case. I tried looking at her Twitter to see if she had maybe provided more proof to substantiate her claims, only to find her account set to private. I tried to see if maybe I could bypass this by putting her Twitter link into the Wayback Machine, but unfortunately I found nothing new. As of now, this case is still up in the air, but the lack of information and evidence leaves me feeling sour towards her claim. Now, when these allegations were initially released, many YouTubers came to the forefront to give their 2 cents on Carson and the actions he committed. Noah and Travis were the ones to come out with the information, and they had their own responses to everything when more people further came out against him. However, while doing research, I began to notice several holes and discrepancies in the story that was being told regarding the age of the young girl. Allow me to show you this clip.
He called me, and I picked up the phone, and he was basically like, "I have to tell you something," and then he told me that he sexted underage girls, and I think that he said that they were fans.
Did he tell you how old they were?
At the time, no.
Based on this clip, apparently Noah and Travis were not made aware of the age of the girl. However, when the other members of the lunch club made their own statements, they all immediately cited the age as being 17. So why did the other members know, but these brain-dead monkeys who were delivering the sensitive information not know? Were they purposely hiding the age to make it seem worse? Were they ill-informed? Shouldn't someone who knows more information be the one telling the story so we can get all of the correct details? I don't understand. The story was handled so poorly. Not only that, but why didn't Noah and Travis give a name for the alleged victim that Carson was soliciting nudes from? Wouldn't that be important information to provide? Why were you two sitting there, crusading for the well-beings of victims who you don't even know? Not their identity, not their name, age, nothing. Speaking of the others, Slimecicle's response was honestly very strange, and terribly made in my opinion. Recently, 2 former lunch club members publicly alleged that Carson had been engaged in illegal activity with minors. To be clear, targeting a minor for grooming, sexting, and other inappropriate or unwanted sexual advances is illegal, and particularly disgusting if the person doing it is a YouTuber who has taken advantage of their fame to exploit their young fans. My heart goes out to all those who have been victims. I am sorry you went through that, and encourage you to tell someone about it and get the help you need. In an early 2020 phone call, Carson told all the lunch club members and our group manager that he had exchanged nudes with an unnamed girl he believed to be 17. Because I suspected a crime had been committed, I immediately reported this information to federal law enforcement, cut all ties with Carson, and withdrew completely from Lunch Club. Although the Lunch Club manager asked about a final March drop or a goodbye video, I refused these, because I no longer wanted to be associated with Carson or Lunch Club. For all those asking why I didn't speak publicly about this issues at the time, this is not drama. This is an alleged federal felony involving a child. As soon as I knew about this, I took every step to protect the unnamed victim and report the information I had to authorities. A crime should be treated as a crime. If you or any loved one is ever in a similar situation, I strongly encourage you to take similar actions and report it to the relevant authorities. No person should ever have been the victim of something like this. I mean, this entire response is flawed in so many areas. For one, I find the use of the word child is extremely manipulative. This is not a child. This is a 17-year-old girl. And also, you contacted the police? And by that point, you already found out that she was 17, and he was still 19. That seems like an extremely drastic move. And why wasn't this mentioned on Drama Alert? I would assume that the other Lunch Club members would have remained in contact. Wouldn't this be important to mention in the interview with Noah and Travis? In this document, he says that all members were told in a phone call about what was happening. However, Noah says that most were told in person, and that he had been called by Carson with him telling him what was going on. I know this seems like a nitpick, but why can't they keep their fucking story straight as to how they received the information? And why is certain important information that we found out later on left out on Drama Alert? About a day after the initial allegations were released, former Lunch Club member and friend of CallMeCarson, Jay Schlatt, made a video addressing Carson's actions and provided new information regarding Carson. He would mention how these allegations had come before the Caterino cheating scandal, and that the main reason why he and several other friends had stuck around for him, even though he had allegedly sexted a 17-year-old, was because he considered Carson's mental state to be under dangerous condition.
We'd be in calls with him almost every night till the sun came up, trying to help him through what he was going through.
However, he goes on to allege that as early as a few weeks ago, Carson's behavior of messaging underage girls, sexting them, and exchanging news with them was still happening at the current age of 21.
But a few weeks ago, I started having some conversations with some of Carson's closest friends, including his former roommates. And in my discussions with them, I heard some things that suggested that Carson wasn't improving in the areas that he should have been. And he was showing signs of continuing some of his inappropriate behavior. And apparently this was happening while I was spending all this time trying to help him. And while he was saying that he was working on himself and that he was changing and that he hates the person he used to be. These conversations were really the ones that got me second guessing how genuine Carson had been to me and to others throughout this whole thing.
He provides absolutely no evidence to support these claims, aside from some anecdotes from several of his roommates. And just like Noah, he doesn't give an age, a name, or even a hint to their identities.
This is a recurring problem now of content creators who take complete advantage of and manipulate the people that care about them the most. I don't think Carson's a pedophile.
Then why did you spend the past 6 minutes trying to convince us he is? If you were to make a claim as big as several underage girls have been sexted by Carson as early as a couple weeks ago, why would you produce a 6-minute pile of feces with this as your only source? This may be a possibility, but the fact that there was nothing substantial provided to back up what he's saying makes me hesitant to believe anything he's saying. In this scenario, we're left with two options. One, what Jay Schlatt is saying is true, and Carson is continuing to sex and receive nudes from minors. Or two, Jay Schlatt has lied, or at least been heavily misinformed with these claims, and has slandered Carson. And I don't know which one's worse. The entire situation seems really fishy to me, and I feel like there's a lot missing from this story that we should know. The way the information was delivered was incredibly sloppy and all over the place. But why? They were made aware of the situation in March. You'd think they'd have plenty of time to formulate their own thoughts and get everything piled up. Bo Black's glorified Twitter audiobook revealed that he was DM'd by an anonymous individual claiming that a big story was going to come out regarding allegations of pedophilia. I'm not allowed to leak or say anything, but expect certain pedo allegations coming out about a certain thick-necked individual in the coming months. I can't say anything, but what I DM'd you a little bit ago about is currently trending. Get ready for the shit show that will be 2021. If you aren't already, turn on notifications for Noah Hugbox. That's all I'm allowed to say. Have a safe new year. Who is this person, and why did this person know? The way those DMs were framed almost made it seem more like a drama story than an actual serious allegation. One thing that I tend to notice with these types of allegations is that they feel the need to immediately take it to the internet rather than to the authorities. Now, I am aware that Slimesicle says he got into contact with the police, but at the end of the day, we can only take his word. He didn't provide a police report, or even if this case actually went anywhere at all. And given the fact that they were unsure of the age so much, did they even provide an age to the police if they actually got into contact with them? Or better yet, did they even give a name? Because apparently no one knew the victims they were defending. I don't understand the purpose of bringing this to the internet when you've already contacted the police. And it almost makes me skeptical as to the true intentions of the story being brought to the public. I'd like to bring up an interview that Noah did when the initial allegations were released. He appeared on the After Hours podcast with Augie RFC, When he and his friends were discussing the initial rollout of these allegations against Carson, many had hard questions about this case. More importantly, why they decided to hold on to the information up until now.
And he followed up on what he told me, where he was like, oh yeah, I did this, with basically, and I just made an attempt on my own life.
Oh.
So the situation was kind of that I wasn't about to put a guy who is already in that state over the edge. That was not going to be something that I would do.
That statement is perfectly fair. Carson attempted suicide, and you don't want to be the final kicker. But the more I watched this interview, the more it seemed like Noah was just this bumbling fool who didn't know how to handle the information he was given. Information that he should have known firsthand was completely foreign to him. And half of his answers to some of these questions were, I don't know, or maybe.
People in chat are asking, is there like a report we can see or whatever to the police report? I would assume that's
I have no idea. I've never seen one.
Yeah, okay. Did like most of the Twitch streamers know about this behind the scenes?
I don't know.
What I was told is that there was going to be a pedo allegation coming out and Noah was going to be the one to do it, but I didn't know it was Carson or anything like that. So maybe like,
I don't even know where that would come
similar DM and then contacted you.
Yeah, maybe.
You didn't know the ages on Drama Alert. You only found out when everyone else found out when the girls came out.
This is well, I mean, yeah, now I know for a fact that there were the two that were 17. But like I said, I was told 17 like one or two times, and different people had different information. So I was like, I'm not going to make like a hard and fast thing where I go, oh yeah, it was these 17-year-old girls, because I was like, dude, I don't fucking know. I can't certify that.
Another reason he would cite for why he didn't come out with the information prior to now was because he didn't want a lawsuit. But at the same time, he was waiting for someone to ask him about it so we can talk about it.
And I assumed that I would be sued if I ever said anything about it, because I had literally no hard proof at all.
Here's what I'm thinking, right? So you know this or whatever. Keemstar then hits you up recently or whatever to come on Drama Alert or do the interview. Why come out now?
Oh, as soon as I had any opportunity, when somebody asked me about it, I was going to come out about it. I wasn't going to lie.
I don't know why. These statements completely contradict themselves. If you were worried about getting sued for releasing the sensitive information, what would going on someone else's channel do? It's still you making these claims. It's not like the blame would be shifted onto the person who uploaded the video. Noah would cite another reason for these allegations not being made because he felt that if they were brought out, it would interfere with the police case that was supposedly going on as a result of Slimesicle's phone call.
Also, I'm pretty sure that within about 2 weeks of us finding out, I was aware that Slimesicle had the intentions to contact law enforcement. Mm-hmm. So I kind of already knew that that was covered. And I'm pretty sure that it was talked about where it's basically like, well, if this gets just like blown out into the public, then that would interfere with actual professional people who know what they're doing, finding out the truth about this.
So now that they did bring it out, and Carson seems to have not been affected or pursued by authority figures, does that mean this case went nowhere? And if it's still going on, then why did you bring it up to the internet? Wouldn't it interfere with the ongoing police case like you said? Many people would bring up a game called Pregnancy that was apparently on Carson's Steam account, in which the purpose of the game is to give advice to a 14-year-old girl who had just been raped and impregnated by a criminal. The Twitter user shows proof of this being his account, and even links his Steam account for the public to see. Putting a link of the account into the Wayback Machine would show an archive of the account on January 5th, the day of the allegations, in which if you were to check the game tabs for the Steam account, you would see the Pregnancy game having 107 hours logged into it. I'm not 100% sure, but given that this name appears to have been created in 2014, and the fact that the Steam name matches Carson's usual way of naming his social media, does make it seem like it's his account. With this information, I can only assume that this is his actual account. I was originally going to check his Discord or subreddit to see if he provided those same links, but unfortunately, both Carson's Discord server and subreddit have been deleted or privated. One thing I also seemed to notice was that when you check the game's info on Steam, there's a notice saying that the game is unlisted. In other words, the only way to play this game is if someone sends you a link for it. If this is his account, and he actually logged in 107 hours into this game, that is definitely a point of concern. I went on to look up gameplay footage for this game, and from what I saw, it appears to be some sort of RPG game, rather than something visually sexual in nature. I find it difficult to believe that Carson would repeat a game that is apparently beatable in 40 minutes well over 100 times. That isn't to say it's impossible, but it does seem extremely unlikely. If he actually did play this game, he may more than likely have had it running in the background, therefore building up hours on a Steam account. I also find it strange that, before this account would be privated, that he would have this game openly available for anyone to see and confront him about it. You'd think he'd use a separate account to play it. I wouldn't go as far as to refer to him as a pedophile, but this is definitely weird and a little peculiar to say the least. With everything I've researched and discovered for myself, with all the statements that the accusers made in regards to Carson, my opinion stands very clear. I do not think Carson is a pedophile, and I do not think Carson is a child groomer. These words have been thrown around so loosely that I see it as only a buzzword now that people use without knowing the real meaning of it. And the way the information was delivered to the public definitely does not add any credibility to what they're saying. In fact, I would say it actually ended up damaging them, and will continue to, in the long run. With them having 9 months of preparation to come out with the story, the fact that it was handled by members who didn't even know the existence of these victims really shows the lack of care and delicacy they had with the information. To claim that a 19-year-old guy groomed a 17-year-old girl is a completely ridiculous statement, and my trust in the YouTubers involved in handling the information in this case has significantly reduced. At worst, Carson, as a 19-year-old guy, exchanged nude photos with a 17-year-old girl, therefore putting him under possession of child pornography. This is legally wrong, but is it morally wrong? I would only go as far as to call it weird. But if you truly think that Carson deserves prison time for this, then you might as well go on and arrest half of all high schoolers along with him. However, something to note is that this case is still pretty young. If more information comes out regarding girls who were even younger, while he was even older, then we have a problem. But as of now, nothing substantial of that matter has been provided. I've seen people bring up the dynamic of power, with the fact that Carson used his position of being a large YouTuber as a way to manipulate his fans into sending him nudes. And to that I agree. I believe that the last thing a YouTuber should ever indulge in are sexually charged conversations with fans. It always ends up bad for both parties. However, if she was 18, this whole argument of an unequal dynamic of power would be moot, and this wouldn't even be a story in the first place. But I am not here to be Carson's defense attorney. He has yet to release an official statement about this issue. And until then, we cannot truly rest this case. Innocent, until proven guilty. Thanks for watching.